Hey friends, family and everybody, we are back to the channel and we are here to bring you the educative content we've always brought you. We apologize for not being on air for quite some time. Guys, hey, we've been hit hard by COVID-19. We also had other things or other engagements that could not just be forgone and we had to attend to them. But from now henceforth, we are back. We bring you educative content on poultry. We also bring you much content on agribusiness, and we bring you other experts on board: dairy farming, fish farming, all that will be coming. Stay tuned. And today, let's know why your birds are not laying and why they're laying below the required number of eggs. These are the reasons. My birds are 8 months old and they're not laying. My chicken are one year old and they're not laying. Hey, how are you? If you're new to our YouTube channel, kindly hit the subscribe button. Every week we bring you a video that is educative. We apologize, we've been off air for quite some time because of COVID-19, and we've also been attending to other urgent issues. What is the main reason why your birds are 8 months or 1 year old and yet they're not laying? The most important thing first to understand is the breed. Your birds could be not the right breed that you expect them to be laying at that particular time. For example, you cannot compare a brown layer chick to an indigenous bird. For example, an improved or an indigenous bird has got an egg curve that is quite low. You don't expect the bird to start laying at week 22 and then it gets to peak production at week 36. But for a bird that is bred and meant for laying, which is a brown layer or even a white layer, this bird will start laying at exactly 22 weeks and it will be at peak production at week 36 up to week 56. So one of the main reasons why your bird could not be laying at 1 year old or at 8 months old is because of the breed. You cannot take a bird that is meant for meat and then you expect it to lay an equal number of eggs compared to a bird that is meant for production of eggs. Very important also is the nutrition. If your bird is not feeding on the right feed, that's why we feed chicken on chick mash, then growers mash, and then we call it a transition mash or a transition feed, a feed that will transit the chicken from a grower stage to a laying stage. Okay? So you should feed your bird with layers mash, or you should feed it with feed that is rich in enzymes or hormones that promote egg production. Also, you should feed your chicken with feed that is rich in calcium, because when the bird is laying, there is much deposition of calcium. Now, when you don't have much calcium deposited in the medullary bones or stored, there tends to be calcium deficiency. A hen is not like a cow. A cow, when it's a high yielder or high producer, whenever there is a calcium deficiency, the cow will suffer from milk fever. But a bird, when it has a deficiency of calcium, the bird will not lay. So nutrition becomes very important. We've got layer premix. We've got a high level of plant protein, such as soybean. We've got a high level or average level of animal protein in feed that is meant to stimulate or increase production of eggs in layers. Basically, feed for birds that are laying is rich in nutrients that are meant for that particular stage of production. Number 3 is the environment. We've got regions that are very hot. and other regions that are very cold. Production is high or average in warm areas compared to areas that are very cold. The same also applies during climate changes. We've got some times in the year that there's so much rain and it's very cold, and sometimes in the year that it's warm. So during a time whereby the temperatures are below normal and you've not constructed your structure to suit environmental control, or we call them environmental control structures. So if your structure is not such a type of a structure, then it automatically means that the climatic conditions outside the structure are equal to the climatic conditions inside the structure. So when it's cold outside the structure, then it's cold inside the structure. Okay? In such a case, it automatically means that production will decrease with decrease in temperature. Why? And feed intake will increase with decrease in temperature. So your chicken are feeding more feed and they're producing less. What a loss. Sorry. And what causes that? This is because during a time whereby it's cold, much feed is taken into generation of warmth or heat to keep the bird going. But during a time when it's warm, much feed or nutrition is taken into egg production. So then it's very important that you don't see it being very cold and your structure is not environmentally controlled. Then you complain and say, hey, the feeds I'm giving to my chicken, they're reducing production. Or you say, the type of bird I bought from so and so is not a good quality bird because it's not laying. Temperature or the climatic conditions also affect laying. Number 4, health of the bird. If the birds are infected with Newcastle disease, my friend, you will just see the egg curve drop, and even you'll see the birds stop producing. So when the birds are also infected with other infections, the birds tend to suffer stress. If not suffering stress, much feed is taken into production of white blood cells to fight the disease causative agents in the bird. And the bird is depressed. Automatically, when the bird is stressed, it reduces feed intake. When the feed intake is reduced, then production or output is also reduced. So health of the bird so much matters. Sometimes we also give the birds some medication that will tempt to halt or stop laying. For example, when you deworm your birds, don't expect eggs for the next 3 days. So it is very important that then you check and maintain the correct and the perfect nutrition status of your birds. It will help you maintain the egg curve, or it will help your birds lay and lay and lay and lay. The other factor that your birds could not be laying could be because of the stage or the age. If your birds are molting, that means the birds are shedding off feathers. That means the birds are aged. The birds are transiting from one cycle to another cycle. At this stage of molting, expect the production to be minimal or even zero. This is because the nutrients are taken into feather formation. Now, we mostly don't keep the birds up to that age of molting. At that stage, it means the birds are at menopause, so you ought to dispose them and bring in a new flock. But in advanced countries like Israel, advanced system, we do something called induced or forced molting. Because after molting, the birds start a new egg cycle, and it's always higher than the initial egg cycle. That means you can keep this bird for 36 months or 2 production cycles. So when your bird has attained molting, don't keep it any longer. Kindly cull it off, bring in a new flock. And lastly, what is this other factor that would cause your birds not to lay? Lighting program. In layers, lighting program is very key to maximization of egg production. If you want your bird to lay the highest number of eggs, check the lighting program. What is this lighting program? A layer bird requires more lighting hours compared to the other bird. Lighting basically stimulates egg production. Lighting increases hours of feeding and increases hours of digestion. The bird systems are still active. There is a continuous breakdown of feed, then there is a continuous egg formation. That means that there is more production of eggs. So then lighting program becomes very key. Now we know very well that the sun sets at about 5 p.m. or 8 p.m. normal time, and the sun will rise at about 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. where thereabout. So now in layers, we intend to increase the lighting program whereby when the sun goes down and it starts getting dark, you switch on the lights, and we recommend that you use fluorescent lighting up to about 10 p.m. So you increase your lighting by about 2 hours into the night, and then in the morning, you switch on the lights at about 3:30 a.m. or 4 a.m. so that they have an extended lighting period of about 14 to 16 hours. This one then will increase your production. Now, don't overextend the lighting program. When you overextend the lighting program, it tends also to affect the egg size. That's when you'll find that the eggs tend to be a bit smaller. So lighting program then becomes quite important, and we simply check the lighting program by increasing the hours of lighting. Okay? So in a nutshell, what are these reasons or what are these factors that will make your bird not lay? It's the age of the bird, it's the breed of the bird, it's the climatic conditions that where you have raised your birds from. We talk of the nutrition of the bird, we talk of stress, and the lighting program. When you check these 6 factors, then you'll be able to know if your bird is laying at the right stage, the right quantity of eggs, or what is it that is not laying, and you can be able to check and correct it. That is how simple it is, and that's how enjoyable poultry farming is.